Okay, so you guys are on the first
Bit of an interesting morning. We've got Lyza Wendell here, and also my son Tom. So she's going to give a bit of a demonstration on the healing that she does. Specifically, you know, I am only new to this, Lyza, and you know, there's Reiki healers and there's theta healers. Do you classify yourself in one of those, or you have a category of your own?
Look, there's a lot of different types of healing that can be done, and you know, I've trained in some of them, and oftentimes I find when I walk into a room, a healing room, and the healing's about to take place, I just do what I'm told to do at the time, and I surrender any judgment about what's about to happen, and I come to terms with what's going on for the client. Sometimes it's better not to know what physical symptoms are going on, and my hands will just be drawn to that point anyway.
So you're intuitive. You're an intuitive healer.
That's a very good term for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So as an example, right now my hand's here, and it's hovering above Tom's heart, but it's actually working points right out through the right leg. And so sometimes when I'm working with children or with anybody, I might spend the first 20-30 minutes with one hand on their knee and another hand, you know, a couple of feet above their ankle. Right. And the whole idea is that, you know, sometimes the patients had so much trauma that to touch them physically, there's a recoil that goes on, so they're unable to release or trust as completely, just because of the human touch. So those instances is when that's required.
The green light's on that mic, isn't it? Yeah. Good.
Okay, so have you had a sore back trouble at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom's a footballer.
Yeah. So I'm just feeling, and so sometimes we're going to use Tom as our guinea pig, and the idea what we're doing here is when I work with children, I have the child on the healing table and the parent relaxed, in a relaxed position. You may want to put your head back later. So I need you to be as relaxed as possible.
Well, it's pretty relaxed for me.
Good.
I go 100 mile an hour and I'm asleep. There's no middle line.
So just relax your knees and just take a deep breath. If I ask Tom to take a deep breath or relax, or relax a certain part of his body or breathe into a certain part of his body. So right now I'm just holding his hips in a certain position because we've been able to tap in right above his head, has connected in right out through the sole of his feet, and so I'm just holding his body in a position so that whole meridian can connect and clear right down through his hip and his lower base of his spine. So what I need you to do is just take a very deep breath, balanced in between both nostrils, inside both nostrils, right down to the base of your spine. What I primarily work on and see as I'm working with somebody is their spine and their spinal condition, because every organ and every chakra, every gland, and all emotional conditions in my experience link into the spine in some way. Right. And so oftentimes when I'm looking and I'm scanning the body, I see where there are blocks, and sometimes it'll look like a massive hook, sometimes it's just in the spine itself. And I see, so you just finished releasing. Did you feel that? It just finished releasing. Yeah, okay. So just keep that breathing going really gently. As you breathe in, just imagine it's like a sunrise. So you breathe in from the base of your spine and breathe it up. So you're filling up from the base of your spine first. And then as you breathe out, and this is just a brilliant tool for releasing in general, whenever you feel like you've got something going on, as you breathe out, I want you to release that breath right down through your legs and out through the soles of your feet, as if it's a water, and that's washing your energy out through your whole system.
Okay.
Okay, so
and is there a synergy between, I know Tom is my son, but you know, is there, you said you do this before with the parent and the child.
Yeah, yes, because what occurs 99% of the time, what occurs is as the child is releasing either a health issue, whether it's from birth, you know, oftentimes when a child comes out, or when a child is conceived, there can be a whole emotional issue that went on between the parents at the time of conception, from the shock, you know, the woman might be pregnant, not find out until she's 2 months pregnant, and then there can be that shock of the father didn't want it, or the mother didn't want it, and there's that whole shock, and that's what I often feel within the child, is that ancient feeling of knowing that they weren't 100%, you know, ready to have the child. So as it's healing within the soul of this child, it's healing within the mother and the parent that's absent as well at the same time. And oftentimes there's a birth trauma, and sometimes hips are malaligned as they're pulled out, or there's, I'll smell the anaesthetic or the epidural during that point in time where there's a struggle, or the caesarean. And oftentimes there can be compression on the skull of the child as they come out, so the whole bone, the skulls are pushed out of place. And so usually I'm guided to the skull at the end of the issue, yeah.
Well, the look of his skull, I reckon he's had some issues.
So what can also happen is oftentimes if there's a genetic condition that's come down through several generations, you know, we'll feel, and I'm feeling, it feels like his mother's here to work, just to help. And sometimes if there's a really traumatic emotional connection between one parent or another, then what will happen is the grandparent will come and connect in metaphysically with the child to help them heal a specific issue. And that parent will come and sometimes actually link right into the umbilical cord and become that source of mothering or that source of fathering for that child. Like if there's a you know, we've all know of in-laws or parents who have just quite constrictive energies, and that can play out in the grandson or the son, and when that's just not good for the soul, because the soul of this boy is here asking me as a man to work with him and just telling me and showing me what to do. Right. And so if it's not playing out properly in his life, if he's not getting the spiritual nourishment he needs from his immediate family, it reaches up and they connect in with the other levels. So
you deal with spirit guides, and do you actually see? Again, I'm asking questions that I perceive that people watching this video will ask.
Usually the parents like.
I'm not very good at that.
Okay, so we just dealing. Tom's got a little bit of a digestive thing going on right now. So
we did have baked beans for breakfast.
Yeah. So we're just working with that. Yeah, in terms of who I see in the room, it can be, often it depends whoever the parent or the mother or even the grandparent prays to, whichever deity is their highest experience of reverence, you know, whoever they revere or whoever they call to in a time of need.
Right.
So what's happening is there's an aspect of Tom's higher self that's up here now, and we're just going to plant this back into his spine. Okay, so and sometimes when somebody's fed and it comes right in just below the spine here, so it's happening slowly, it's coming in. Oftentimes I'll have my hand underneath the spine so that it kind of creates an anchoring for it, but it's actually going into his spine very easily. And it's going into a point which is about this far from when he was about 4 to 5 years old. And usually in this case, Tom's you're so good, because he's just there here relaxing. Often what I do is I'd just be gently working very peacefully with the child, but Tom's 16, so it's different. It's not like I'm working with a 4-year-old or an 8-year-old. Yeah, exactly. And so I would just, or I'd be whispering to the parents saying what was happening around the 4 or 5 years old. And I can see some of that, but I'll just, you know, we don't have to go into detail with it today because Tom's accepting it. And a lot of the time I see things and experience any traumas that have gone on in either the child or the parent at a specific time. You know, sometimes it might be that the mother was being beaten, you know, at the time she was pregnant or while the child was young. And so, why are you giggling?
Oh, just boy stuff.
Yeah. So this is just coming right in now. So what's happening is there's a part of him at 4 or 5 that left because it was just incredibly confused, couldn't handle the emotion that was going on. There's a point in the spine about this big that's being healed through that, to do with support, you know,
separated
lower
with his mother at about that age.
Okay, so that's exactly what happened. So as you know, he's blushing, but he's also, you might be feeling heat around your chest. Can you feel that up here? Yeah. Yeah. And so he's feeling that heat around his chest, and he's getting a lot of blood flow up into his.
I can feel that too, actually.
Yeah. So you just relax. Seriously, get your neck down and just relax, and just.
Can I cross these things? They won't blow up or anything, will I?
Uncross. And I want you to breathe in through your nose, because as you breathe in through your nose, you're actually drawing in the photons from the energy outside, and this just adds to the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, the whole spiritual experience. And just relax. You can close your eyes as well. And I just want to feel that right through. His soul's just about right in through here, and there's an aspect of Cameron and you as well that are here, holding my hand at the same time, just sending that love in to connect in with Tom, so that part of his life is completely loved right now. So that whatever emotional or self-confidence issues or ability to receive love issues that might have come up for him during that time are being healed right now. So notice how my hand has come down, and it's like I physically cannot move my hand until the resealing, I called it as an S-E-A-L-I-N-G, the sealing of that soul is returned to I call it life force with some people who don't understand the word soul. Life force is returned to the spine. So sometimes I have sometimes I have women who are much older in age, and we're drawing in. We might draw in something from when they were 3 years old, and it connects into their spine, or we might draw in something when they were 17. And often what will happen is, if there's been trauma and they've been locked in a cyclical energy pattern for 10 or 15 years, say there was a traumatic relationship they got into that they shouldn't have, and their life path, like, here's the soul from before they were born, here's the body, and the soul says, this is the life path I'm going to be born into. But once they get into the body, they have a traumatic childhood, or they marry the wrong person, or they have sex too young, or something like that, and this whole soul life path kind of gets knocked off. What seems to happen with the work that I'm doing is there's a reconciliation between the soul and the life path, because the spine gets the life force back into it, the energy back into it, and a sense of reprogramming back into it from pre-birth. So what happens at the end, I'm just conscious it's going right in now, right into his umbilical cord, and it's reaching.
Can you visualise the umbilical cord? Is that what you're doing, or it's just a feeling?
I don't visualise it. It's like I see it. So even though my eyes are over here, it's as if I'm watching here. And sometimes my eyes are doing healing work as well. Sometimes I'm told to look at parts of the body with my eyes to reconnect. So it's as if, okay, so can you feel it just connecting right in deeply there?
Yeah.
And it's coming, and it's actually here. So just, and I know when the sealing is finished, because what happens is there's a series of different things. It can be like a pumping in the chest. Are you feeling that you've got energy coming right out here, which is that completion?
I can feel it coming up and up the back of my neck.
Yeah, so what that is it's like a completion of that life force coming back into the system, and that's the healing between the two of you right up in the chest here. That's H-E-R-E, not H-A-I-R, chest hair. So I'm just waiting for that now. What usually happens is an indication either of a pulsing in that area, or a heat, or a cough, or a laugh. And I had a chat with my guides about 5 weeks ago, because everyone was bawling their eyes out on the table, and it's just incredibly traumatic. And then I had one client who laughed the whole way through, because his guide was this really laughy monk. And I recognised that okay, did you feel that move right out? Yeah. So he felt that move right out through his feet as it's connecting in. Yeah. So that's connecting in there. So, and there's a grandpa here too, but I think it's a grandpa on the mum's side as well.
Mm-hmm.
What was I just saying? Yeah. Okay. Look, to wrap it up, because
no, we can do more than 15.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, so there's different indications once the sealing has occurred. What I find is this helps with school issues, focus issues, self-esteem issues, relationship issues, and it can also help with just that level of peace. You know, sometimes we have children that cannot relax, and so this just helps with that ability to just, step down from a height.
Well, that's very interesting, because again...
Okay, so there's something massive coming out your left side here, and I think this is just, feels like it's just a release of his mum. you know, and it's not to say that it's a negative, don't roll your eyes, it's not a negative energy per se, it's just a further letting go.
Okay.
So that, and left is usually, my experience, I can't vouch for everyone, left is usually where I find females, and right is usually where I find males. And
mine's going off the left button.
That's what I was saying, it's a release of...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, and what that does is, in releasing that, it allows you to replace that with more positive experiences of female relationships. So often it's an entire meridian that gets released to allow a whole other experience of relationship with males or relationships with females.
But it's very interesting. I suppose I'm showing my narrow-mindedness here. When I said we organised this healing today with you, Lyza,
Yep.
I'm thinking physical healing as in ailments and physical ailments,
Well,
but
this
it's
is
far more than that.
Yeah, well, this is what's happening as well, because with Tom, his lower back has been about support, and his lower back has been about, if you don't mind me saying, yeah, it's been about
Right.
self-esteem.
Right.
When he gets to a certain point of feeling like he's really brilliant, really doing something, say within sport, he hits a cap. It's this cap of, if I go past this, then it means I don't need my mum and dad anymore. You know, so what this is doing is letting him, it's creating it's not just one part of the spine, there's actually 3 or 4 vertebrae now, because this one's really light, this one where it's entered into is really light, but there's several down below that are healing, which is where, you know, that's to do with his reflections of relationships with females and males based on you guys, you know, his folks, and what we're entering into now is him releasing that so that he can actually enter into, it's going, you might feel it right down the base of your, the lower 4 or 5, and that's meaning that he can then go into relationships on a whole new game. You know, just relax your knees, Tom. Just really relax your knees, because it's got to flow out past your knees and get down to there. And you can feel that releasing up from you too, and out through your ears. So because that's come right in, it's actually going right up his spine now. So in asking for things to be released without that deep traumatic sadness, it means that I'm not having as much tears, but I'm having the massive releases at the same time.
Have you kind of dialed the channel for that, or is that just happening this way today? Everything you say there's no.
No, I asked several weeks ago. I realised that people could release real heavy trauma without having to go into that aching, traumatic, painful crying. You know, they could release it just by giggling, or by taking a deep breath and it would release, or by, you know, by the whole body would pulse. Can you feel that?
So really, by your mindset, the way you've changed your thinking, or that suddenly your patients are reacting differently. Is that what you're saying? They're not crying as much as they used to.
Yeah, the healing process has shifted, but I'm sure it's an aspect of the planet as well. You know, before we used to hold on to stuff, and everybody now is learning we can release stuff in a breath with our choices. Okay, so what's happening now between you and Tom? There's a link occurring between your hearts. Okay, so we've just finished this one cycle, so we'll just change.
Stop and start.
Okay, so currently I've got one hand under Tom's spine, and the other hand is on top. And it's so funny, it's trying to explain what it is that I just do. So oftentimes what I feel like is happening is my whichever hand is on top is pulling in outer levels of the aura where higher soul messages or frequencies, or I'll call them like programs, sit for Tom, that Tom may not necessarily get consciously or physically within the cells of his body. So what happens is, it feels like what I'm doing is planting higher levels of energy into the cellular structure, and indeed into the spine, which is where that life force energy flows up with my hands. And what's happening right now is I can feel an energy moving or wanting to shift around Tom's chest. And so what I get asked to do sometimes is bring Tom's palms onto my hand, just let both of your palms touch the palm of my hand, because there's an energy that comes through. Either it's a guide or you know, it'll be a deceased relative, or it can be a child that was aborted, or a miscarriage or something, and the person brings their, I'm asked to get the person to bring their palms onto my hand. Just bring your left palm a little bit higher, that direction, no, the other way, yeah. And then they draw that energy in through their palms, which then goes in through their elbows and up through in your shoulders and into your heart. And what that does is it creates it's opening the heart, but it's also creating a loop so that the energy that I'm drawing in for the body can stay in there at a deeper level in through the heart. So what's happening now, and I don't know if it's happening in Cameron at the same time, but it's quite possible, there's a feeling of Tom just had a relationship that's been just healed in here. And through the chest. And so this is to do with trust and self-esteem and relationships as well. So what we're doing is I'm just realigning his energy from his spine to come right up his spine and out through the top of his head, whereas it was starting to divert into kind of to create a story or an energy funnel that may not have been particularly healthy if he'd carried on with it in terms of relationships.
So it's gone up through my throat. Like.
Yeah, so he's feeling it come out up through his throat. And just relax the top of your head as well. Another great tool when you're releasing is to imagine at the back of your chakras along your spine and opening, kind of like when an airplane opens its cargo hold to release out baggage or fuel or something, and you can actually really, really release that out. Okay. Just relax. Just going to work now with CranioSacral Therapy. This is just relax, sweet. It's a really tremendous tool, and oftentimes, you know, working with people, Kundalini naturally starts to rise between the age of 35 and 40, really up to 45. However, sometimes people miss that opening, and sometimes people are activated, you know, much younger through either a traumatic event or a physical event. And so a lot of the time I'm working with what they would call the Kundalini